Hi, and welcome to another Zonal Byte-Sized Tech Tour. My name is Joel Wilson, and I'm Technical Sales Manager at Zonal. And today I've got the pleasure of being joined by Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Joel. Thanks for having me. For those that don't know me, my name's Claire Bartsch, and I'm the Product Manager for Zonal Supply Chain. And I've been working on Menu Manager for about 15 years now. So thank you very much for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here. And very apt, as today we're talking about recipe and menu modeling, primarily around our own Menu Manager products. So this has become a hot topic at the minute, following the recent heartbreaking events, which have reminded us all of how important getting allergen practices right are. This has always started with having the right data, having the right accurate information to hand, and more importantly, having the correct data available to the right people at the right time. Moreover, cost pressures remain, as does the importance of driving customer retention and ensuring product and recipe consistency across all of our brands. So there's plenty of things for us to talk about. As always, Claire, I've got 3 questions for you. So my first question is, what are the current trends in recipe and menu modeling technology?
Interesting question, that is. In terms of trends within menu modeling and recipe modeling, I think we all know that, as you mentioned before, dietary information, your allergens, your nutritional information, and your suitability is absolutely key. Not only just reporting it, but also getting that information from your suppliers and making sure that that is as accurate as possible. And I see that being a trend, but not only for now, but for a very, very long time, and making sure that that is as accurate as you possibly can. Another thing to mention in trends is data. Data is imperative to making this all work, and making sure that building recipes, you're using the right ingredients, you've got the right cost prices, so you're getting the accurate, profitability within that dish. And then when it gets to a cumulative menu, and the use of AI as well, because you want to forecast your sales to understand what is going to be your performers within that menu. So looking at AI in terms of event-driven sales, that's coming up. So using a date range, for instance, to understand how much of a dish that you're going to sell in the future, and what does that revenue and that profit margin look like, where that also impacts the sales, especially in the hospitality industry. Yeah. That's quite important to note as well. I think also we got to remember that there's the sustainability in terms of the carbon footprint. What does that look like for your recipe? Of course, we've got carbon footprint reporting via integrations with Net Zero Now, which is on your purchasing, but it's also bringing all of that data within the menu and understanding also what does that waste control look like in terms of your menu. So there's a few, I think, are on the uprise.
Yeah, and we know how important data always has been, but being able to do tangible things with that, allow that data to have a direct input on what producing is really important. So my second question: how does Menu Manager help with this?
Okay, well, I think in terms of data, there's 3 key points that I want to point out here: is data, consistency, control, accuracy, and performance. Of course, we retain a lot of the data ourselves within the platform, not only from third parties, but the data from ourselves. So what I'm referring to here is the sales from POS to, drive that kind of reporting in terms of understanding how much you're going to sell of something, swapping those dishes out. We've got the ingredients already, your cost prices, the ability to update those cost prices very quickly, time stamping it so those take effect. But when building that recipe, as you're adding your ingredients and the quantity or the dispense of that ingredient within that recipe, we're working out what nutritional information that recipe could have. We're working out the allergy information, we're working out the suitability, and pulling that all together into a menu. It kind of gives an operator the oversight of what it is that menu is going to be in terms of offering. So have they covered all their offering bases in terms of dietary requirements and suitability? Have we got enough dishes for our vegan guests, our vegetarian guests? So it's quite easy to create those recipes, create those menus, and then start seeing the data against it in terms of how much we're going to sell, what is our potential gross profit, our revenue, and so forth. It can go by the recipe, it can go by the course, or it can go by the entire menu. Menu Manager as well, it can be by brand specific. You can have as many menus as you want within the module. So I think that's quite key as well, especially if you've got different offerings at different times of the year. You've got your set menus and your seasonal menus as well. In terms of consistency, quality control, and accuracy, we've got the recipe book module, which again you can enter in your photos, your methods, your step photos, your preparation notes. And of course, as you're building your menu and you're putting all those recipes in a menu, it's quite easy to pull out a recipe book report. So that means creating that control across your sites, making sure that there's quality control, it's consistent. You know, you're going from one location to the other, you want the dishes to be exactly the same. And then in terms of performance, which I mentioned before, is understanding those, you know, what is your potential gross profit and revenue. So Menu Managers helps in all of those aspects. And we hope to see a lot more happen within Menu Manager in the future.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's some really powerful functionality in there already, which is great. My final question for you is, what do you see for the future of menu modeling?
So I definitely see that there's going to be an improved automation in terms of reporting and identifying suggested changes that can be made to a menu or even to a recipe for that fact. So with all the data that is driven behind creating a menu, I think it's quite easy to apply an algorithm to that to identify, you know, you think less, do more, and we'll do all the thinking for you, where we can identify what are your star performers. We could suggest swap outs in terms of best price ordering. We could also look at the cost prices. You know, if you want to swap out ingredients for others, we could make suggestions on how we think that your menu should be modeled. So I think there is quite an important key thing here about, you know, you're not only just configuring the information and putting recipes into a menu, but it's also the analytical reporting that could come with it. And that's identifying what changes you potentially could make them more profitable, or if we think that you have not extended your offering to all of those dietary requirements. Another thing that I think is quite important and what we might see in the future is a more supplier-rich integration, or even with other third parties, where, you know, you're getting rid of the old CSV files and the SFT that go into the SFTP sites. You're looking at a full integration via API, where you're getting real-time updates from, you know, the supplier's procurement system to ours, to ensure that that allergen information is accurate as possible. I think that's really key, and hopefully we get to see a little bit more improvement on that side. The last thing I probably should mention is just in terms of the workflow. You know, we've seen in the past that everything is kind of disjointed from different personas within the business, and you would have, let's say, supply chain entering in the products that you would use as ingredients. Then you've got your development chefs creating the development recipes, and then you've got maybe someone in finance or in marketing that are pulling those menus together. And then you're seeing what the potential profit on that menu would be. How we see this happening is it's more of an automated process, from supplier portal to development recipe to creating a menu, and then promoting that menu into being handed over to the POS configuration team, where then they can just take that menu, configure the POS attributes of those dishes and those recipes and those sales items, and then publishing that to any sales channel. So at point it starts here, but it finishes here, but it's the same workflow in terms of the ease of how it gets to the sales channel.
Perfect. So some exciting things there on the horizon. So Claire, thank you so much for taking time out to join us today. Thank you for your insight. It's been really valuable, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Bye.